Welcome parents, family and friends. Welcome faculty, staff, and members of the Board of Trustees. And of course, welcome graduates. My name is Maura Joyce, and I have the pleasure of being the head of school at the Post Oak School. And we are here to celebrate the commencement of the class of 2023. The 22-23 school year, we at Post Oak unveiled a refreshed statement of the mission of the school, which reads, "The Post Oak School is a diverse and welcoming Montessori community that honors and guides lifelong learners as they create their own bold pathways in leading purposeful lives." Upon reflections of the accomplishments of 60 years worth of Post Oak alums, we were continually drawn to the fact that each student who leaves here carves out a bold pathway. Tonight, we honor the hard work of 21 outstanding individuals who have shared themselves with us and who are about to continue that tradition of leading a purposeful life in their own individual, unique, and bold way. Some of the students on the stage found their way to us 2 years ago, some 4 years ago. A few started in middle school and elementary, and almost a third of them have been here for more than 15 years. Nice. Before we get further along in our program, which is truly about you, all of you, the graduates, we should take a moment to thank a few people who helped you along the way. In the auditorium, we have the amazing teachers who guided you on your Post Oak journey. Not only did they teach you things, they made sure you were safe, they took you on trips, they made sure you were heard. They laughed at your jokes even when they weren't funny. They had confidence in you, and they worried about you. And on many occasions, like tonight, they were filled to the brim with pride. Let's take a moment to recognize all of them. If you in this room had the pleasure and the privilege of working with any of these graduates, would you kindly stand and be recognized? Even more help, though, came from your parents, who have done immeasurable things for you. They got you here, and that path was filled with an infinite number of tiny lessons. They taught you how to be a person, and that includes sleepless nights, midnight feedings, agonizing over your development, countless hours in the car driving you to dance and soccer, and band practice, and many moments of bravery and faith, whether they were letting go of your hand as you walked into school, letting go of the back of the bicycle when you were learning to ride, handing you the car keys, and next fall, possibly moving you out of the house. It has not been easy for them. Among these things that your parents did for you was finding their way to Post Oak and saying, yep, this is the place. I do not want you to underestimate the impact of this choice your parents made to support you with a Post Oak education. It was a bold move, and one with great benefits, some of which they get to see tonight, and some of which they're not going to see for another 10 or 20 years. So will you join me in showing our appreciation for your parents? As the world gets ready for you, I'm not quite sure they know what is about to hit them, but I know that you are ready for what lies ahead. I know this because your school, the Post Oak School, is a Montessori school. And Dr. Maria Montessori was a scientist and an observer and saw the potential of the child as our most powerful solution to creating a better world. And because this was one of Dr. Montessori's goals for education, in all of the 60 years that Post Oak has been a school, it is you, the child, the student, the young adult, who has taken ownership of your learning and your growth. It is you that had to come up with the solution to the problems that you faced. And it has been you practicing the skills that will take you far along your bold path. Tonight, I am the lucky one because I get to be the first to say congratulations to you, Post Oak class of 2023. The time has come for us to share you with the rest of the world. All right, and now you are in for a musical treat. Brought to us by two of our incredibly talented graduates, Emilio San Vicente and Gia Sud.
See it, that dream I'm dreaming, but there's a voice inside my head saying you'll never reach it. Every step I'm taking, every move I make feels lost with no direction. My faith is shaken, but I gotta keep trying, gotta keep my head held high. There's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. The struggles I'm facing, the chances I'm taking sometimes might knock me down, but no, I'm not breaking. I may not know it, but these are the moments that I'm gonna remember most. Yeah, just gotta keep going, and I gotta be strong. Just keep pushing on, 'cause there's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. Yeah, there's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. Yeah, yeah.
All right, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Gia and Emilio. Right. Greetings to the Post Oak class of 2023, and greetings to the Post Oak faculty and to all the families and friends of the class of 2023. This Wednesday and Thursday, we had our 11th annual end-of-year high school retreat. Students and faculty spend 2 days and a night in a beautiful place where we can just have fun together and reflect on the year. We have fun playing games, swimming, challenging ourselves with high ropes courses and climbing walls. This year we also had throwing axes, pickleball, and poker. We sign yearbooks, we eat good food together and have a campfire with s'mores. Our reflections take the evening hours and occur in a variety of ways, in random groups, through skits, and in a community meeting. We analyze all the roses, thorns, and buds that define the year and take time to compliment and thank one another and recall meaningful moments. Everyone has numerous opportunities to speak, and everyone is heard. In these reflections, we hear of the many small but meaningful acts the students and adults in this community do every day, deeds of caring and kindness, feedback, and encouragement. We hear of the strong relationships through friendship, mentorship, rivalry, and how these relationships inspire and support student growth. We also hear how these relationships develop and deepen over time, creating the strong bonds that define our community. So after all the s'mores have been eaten, the fire is burning down and the younger students and the faculty are wandering back to trying to find their cabins in the dark, there's another tradition. No, it doesn't involve branding. I can say, though, that I'll tell you the real deal. I have the privilege of staying behind with the seniors class to have a few more moments of camaraderie and sharing. This year I presented you, the class of 2023, a special challenge. Each of you were assigned a random senior and were tasked with recounting a special memory of that student. I expected that this would not only be a way to make sure everyone was included, but would also serve to keep the anecdotes to a few seconds, maybe getting everyone back to their cabins a bit early. This was not to be the case. To my surprise, most of you spoke for several minutes about the student you were randomly assigned. Several of you spoke to people who were not your best friends, maybe not even considered friends, and with whom you had hardly spent much time outside of school. Nevertheless, these speeches were filled with affection, empathy, and goodwill. There was laughter, there were even tears. It was deeply moving, even awe-inspiring for me to witness that. This is because, as I and any of the faculty here and staff can tell you, this is a tremendously diverse group of individuals. They could not be more different, not only in their backgrounds and cultural identities, but also in their religious beliefs or lack thereof, politics, passions, even their basic philosophies of life. So the reason I wanted to tell you about this tonight is that it illustrates another very important aspect of the Post Oak learning environment. Post Oak is a small school. You all have never had the luxury of just walking away from situations and people who challenge you, disagree with you, or maybe just plain irritate you. In bigger schools, you can hide from your problems, finding groups of people you're comfortable with and probably agree with on the big important things, and just avoid the relationships that challenge you. At Post Oak, you can certainly choose your friend groups, but in seminars, group projects, J&M term courses and trips, you have to work with the people who show up, you find yourself with. And often, It is the more uncomfortable and challenging relationships that also yield the most creative, innovative, and unexpected results. You all have this talent, even if you're not aware of it. When we talk about grace and courtesy, when we talk about independence, the ability to be a leader in your own life and be true to your values in any company or circumstance, and when we talk about the ultimate Montessori goal of world peace, this is how that happens. So I want to congratulate you because you have trained this muscle, which is exactly what the world needs right now. I want to take this opportunity also to thank your teachers and school staff for creating and maintaining this environment where the personal dignity of every student and a culture of empathy and love are always the goal. And I also want to thank your parents, whose engaged partnership and generous support in so many ways are essential to the success of our school. So now it's your chance, class of 2023, to go out into the world and make it better by being the change you seek and living the wisdom that you've gained. And so today, as a token of our gratitude for the contributions you have made to this school and the contributions you will make to the world, we present to you, along with your diploma, the gift of a pen. This gift is another Post Oak tradition. It's both a practical and a symbolic gift. Practically, we hope a pen will come in handy as you commence with the next phase of your life, for writing out a business plan, composing a speech, drawing an anime, or taking notes in an interview. Symbolically, we hope that the pen will remind you that you are a Montessori student. Montessori wrote that, quote, "We build ourselves through the work of our hands," end quote. We hope that this pen will serve as a reminder and an inspiration in your career beyond Post Oak to continue the crucial work of building yourself through the good that you do. The world is depending on you. Thanks for listening. Now I'd like to invite Allison Wong, Board of Trustees Chair, to the podium.
Hi, how are you? On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to offer our sincere and very enthusiastic congratulations to the Post Oak High School class of 2023. We are excited to be here with you tonight to celebrate your many accomplishments and to thank you for the contributions you've made to our community. Many of us have followed along on social media as the school has posted your senior spotlights and shared your next steps. And as I read some of your personal reflections, I was struck by how thoroughly each of you has embodied the Post Oak mission, which Maura helpfully just read to you. Our mission speaks of lifelong learners, creating bold pathways, and leading purposeful lives. And in your senior spotlights, you spoke of Post Oak trips that ignited your curiosity and expanded your worldview. You spoke of teachers, the amazing and comparable teachers at the Post Oak School, who inspired you to think more deeply about issues that you care about and supported you as you mastered concepts that challenged you. You spoke of wanting to make the world a safer, more sustainable, and more just place. Each of you followed your own path to the Post Oak High School, and each of you is choosing your own bold pathway forward. The diversity of your choices, the fact that each of your pathways is uniquely representative of you, is something that we honor and celebrate. What makes you, you, is what makes us, us, and we're really proud to be a part of your journey. So I watched the live stream of your moving up ceremony this week at the Bissonnette campus. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, the moving up ceremony is an annual tradition. It's an assembly wherein our community gathers to recognize its members who are moving up from one level to another. For example, from the infant community to primary, or primary to elementary, on up to high school seniors who are moving up to adulthood. Also the faculty and staff, some of whom are moving on to new opportunities of their own. It's one of the few times when our entire community of students, 14 months to 18 years, is together in one place. It culminates in a candle lighting ceremony with a single flame being passed from person to person and a song. Do y'all know it? Just one candle. Sorry, I promised my middle school boy that I would not do that, but I did it anyway. He'll get over it. I have to admit, before I had seen the ceremony with my own eyes, I didn't really get it, even though every year my children sing that song around the house every single May in preparation for this ceremony. But during the pandemic, the school started live streaming the assembly, and now I totally get it. I watch it every year, and I cry every time at the sight of our little babies and our now grown-ups all cheering for each other, which y'all did for like a solid hour for every person that came on the screen and holding their candles side by side. Moving up from one level to another is a big deal, whether you're 18 months old or 18 years old. So, on this momentous occasion, you're moving up, I want to share with you what I consider to be the single greatest philosophical exposition of the human condition and our efforts at self-actualization, other than the Taylor Swift Eras Tour. I'm talking about an Albert Brooks movie from 1991 called Defending Your Life. Does anybody know that movie? I do. You do? Yeah. Yes. Does anybody know who Albert Brooks is? No, right? He's an award-winning actor, writer, and filmmaker, best known for broadcast news, Lost in America, and of course, playing Nemo's dad, Marlin, in Finding Nemo. Right? Now we're on to something. Okay, warning, there's going to be some spoilers about this movie that was made in 1991. Does anybody want to leave the graduation ceremony while I talk about this movie? Okay, so this movie is about what happens in the afterlife, and the premise of this movie is, after you die, you leave Earth and you go to a place called Judgment City, which actually looks a lot like Los Angeles. Anyway, in Judgment City, you're put on trial and you're made to defend your entire life. This is a comedy. It's actually a rom-com. But when you're in Judgment City, defending your life, the central question of the trial is whether you have demonstrated in your life on Earth that you are ready to move up to the next level, the next plane of consciousness, or whether you will return to Earth to try again. And the deciding factor of whether you're ready is whether you've overcome your fears here on Earth. So the way the trial works, it's just like an American courtroom. The judges are there, they consider evidence before they render their decision. And in Judgment City, the evidence is video clips from your whole life. So Gen Z gets the last laugh. In fact, we are all judged on our Insta Reels and our TikToks in the end. Only not exactly, because in Judgment City, we don't get to create the reels ourselves, and we don't get to curate them. There's no filters, no ring lights, nothing. If we did get to make our own reels, immediate move up for everybody, right? Because in our reels, we're all the best. We take the most perfect vacations, we eat beautiful food, there's no blue Takis, do y'all know what Takis are? Okay, there's no blue Takis, there's no laundry on the dining room table, and the golden doodle does not eat socks and drink out of the toilet. Anyway, the point is the reels that get looked at in Judgment City are not the reels that we choose, they're chosen for us. And because the judges are trying to get a sense of the whole picture, they're looking at everything. And that means some of the reels are gonna be really good, and some of them might not be. Like, I don't know, maybe there's a reel of you merging from 59 onto 610. Maybe that works for you. For me, immediately bad place. Back to the movie, though. In Judgment City, some of the reels are really dramatic. Like, there is a reel of one of the characters saving her children from a burning building and then going back in for pets. That is very impressive, and she does move up. But she's Meryl Streep, so she was going to move up anyway. But that's not what the vast majority of the reels are about. Most of the moments that actually show up in the reels are pretty mundane. You are maybe invited to give a presentation, or you're thinking of asking for a raise, or maybe you're trying to set a boundary with a friend. These are normal, everyday moments that, yes, do require courage. Often they are quiet moments when nobody else is around but you. And that's what I love so much about this movie, because remember, the question is whether we've overcome our earthly fears. And usually, hopefully, those fears come not in the form of a burning building, but in the form of something less dramatic. Worry, self-doubt, or a mindset that is holding you back from believing in yourself. Maybe you're wondering, what if this doesn't work? What if they don't like me? What if I'm not good enough? Is this outfit even drippy? It is. The beautiful thing is, in Judgment City, the salient question is not whether the thing actually worked or whether they actually ended up liking you. The real question is how you dealt with that initial self-doubt, how you dealt with that fear. Did it stop you in your tracks, or did you just let it wash over you and keep going? We all know courage is not the absence of fear. If you weren't afraid, you wouldn't need courage. Courage is about being afraid. It's about having self-doubt, yet finding a way to persevere. And again, what I love about this movie is that the fears that you overcome, they can be incredibly low stakes, but they all count towards your move up. A 6-year-old maybe ordering for themselves at a restaurant for the very first time, that counts. An 8-year-old asking, "Can I sit with you?" also counts. A 9-year-old trying a new activity or a sport for the first time. A 12-year-old raising their hand in class. An 18-year-old asking, "Can I sit with you?" It all counts, and you have limitless opportunities for everyday acts of bravery. When you're 20, maybe you're learning a new language. When you're 35 and perhaps going to grad school. When you're 48, again, asking, "Hey, can I sit with you?" Another way of describing these everyday acts of bravery is just putting yourself out there, experiencing it all, showing up for yourself, and giving yourself a chance. What I love second most about this movie is if you are not brave the first time, if maybe in a particular moment you can't really show up for yourself, it's okay. All you have to do is try again. That's it. There's no bad place in this movie. There's just trying again, unless you really screw up the merger onto 610. Then maybe there is a bad place. A fellow Post Oak trustee recently told me about a piece of advice that she received that she found instructive. You know how sometimes people compare life to a marathon? It makes sense, right? Life is long, God willing. It can sometimes be a slog, and you do have to be in it for the long run. But maybe life is more properly compared to a series of sprints, punctuated by periods of rest and recovery. You gear up for the race, you have a period of intensity, you do your best, maybe you win, maybe you don't, and then you rest and recover. Sometimes when I'm weighing a decision, especially one that requires me to stretch or take a risk or to just believe in myself and just get started, especially when there's no guarantee of success, in those situations, I try to picture how that reel will play in Judgment City. Not how it'll play for the judges, but how I will feel watching it. How I want to have shown up in the world. And sometimes I'll decide future me will want to look back on this moment and know that I gave myself a chance. And sometimes I think future me will look back on a moment and know it was wise not to go forward, that I was right to rest and recover for the next sprint. Either way, the worst that happens is I'll try again in my next reel. So that's what I want to tell you. Try, and then rest, and then try again, and then rest again, and eventually you will move up to the next level. Sadly, in the movie, if you get to move up, there's no Mr. Winslow with a guitar or an 18-month-old holding fire. What it is more like an airport tram pulled by a tractor, but you do get to wear a white robe and sit next to Meryl Streep. So, guys, it's Meryl Streep. But along the way, on your journey, think about how you want to move through the world. Think about how future you will want you to be in this moment. Did you show up for yourself, whatever that means to you? Only you will know for sure, and I know that you will make yourselves proud. You're already making all of us proud. Speaking of putting yourself out there and taking a risk, your distinguished keynote speaker this evening was a member of the very first graduating class of the Post Oak High School. Back then, the decision to attend the Post Oak High School required courage because nothing was known about it. No college acceptances, no word of mouth, no personal recommendations. She knew that it was a risk, but she went forward courageously, and the risk paid off, paving the way for all of us to be here tonight. Grace Armstrong earned her bachelor's degree from Barnard College, Columbia University, her master's degree in counseling psychology from Northwestern University, and she is currently a licensed professional counselor and doctoral student at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology with a specialization in clinical child psychology. She holds several leadership positions, both in her cohort and in the Society for Pediatric Psychology. This summer, she will begin her diagnostic training at Rush University's Medical Center's Autism Assessment, Research, and Treatment Center, working across their early childhood, school age, and adult and adolescent clinics. Since many of you shared your favorite Post Oak trips in your senior spotlight, I asked Grace to share hers. And like many of you, she chose the Odyssey trips, especially her first one, which involved her class spontaneously bursting into a chorus of Bohemian Rhapsody. That is certainly real. That would be worthy, I think, of Judgment City. So please join me in welcoming Grace Armstrong.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Okay, cool, good. Good evening, everyone. Allison, Miss Joyce, members of the board, faculty, graduates, parents, family, and friends. Thank you so much for that introduction. If you had told me in 2016 that I would be back in Hammond Hall on this stage a mere 7 years after graduating, I wouldn't believe you. I'm beyond honored tonight to recognize the accomplishments of the class of 2023. Not only just as a person, but as one of the first alumna of the Post Oak High School. After Dr. Quillen, or James, as he says I can now call him, provided me with this opportunity, I decided, like any good Montessorian would, to dive right in and work to learn more about your class and what themes and traditions have come to form in the years since I graduated. What I learned was really interesting to me, and I've done my best to condense it in the time allotted. A theme I noticed in other speeches was the drawing of differences between the respective class and the first class, and this makes sense. We're all unique and distinct people with our own accomplishments. However, I deduced after some very complicated calculations that you all started high school at Post Oak in 2019, which means that much of your schooling was done during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Much of your adolescent development has been forged in the crucible of social and political upheaval. And you all know better than probably anybody else in this room the impact of online learning and social distancing on your actual learning, mental health, and relationships. But when I realized this fact, I felt a sense of commonality with your cohort, as my last year of college was interrupted by COVID-19, and my first year of graduate study and clinical training was entirely online. When I finally started in-person training at a high school, I was able to catch a glimpse of what those trials looked like for students across the United States, and only a sliver of what that might have looked like for you all. All this is to say is that you are trailblazers in your own rights, and you forged ahead and crafted a community that holds true to the Post Oak spirit. You have accomplished so much and embodied such resilience in the face of unpredictable circumstances. Of course, this recognition should and must be extended to faculty and family, as without their tireless and committed work, the situation would likely look much different. However, as a former pioneer who got to see the way that the school's culture ebbed and grew as more and more classes came in, I'm personally really grateful and really proud of you all for not just holding down the fort, but also keeping the flame of Post Oak alive in even the hardest of times. Now, I realized, after watching all these former commencement speakers deliver amazing insights and pieces of advice from all their many ways of life, I won't pretend that I didn't think to myself, what can a 25-year-old who's been in school all this time really say that would be inspiring or useful to y'all? So I imagined some of the questions that a 18-year-old Grace would probably ask of a Post Oak alumna. The first one that came to mind is, will I actually be prepared for college? While I won't pretend that I can see the future, and I'm not going to pretend that college isn't a big change, I'd like to adjust the framing of that question for a second. You survived IB, and when you survived IB, not to mention a pandemic, you can survive anything. The next question that came to mind was, future Grace, this school, my teachers, the staff, they all said when I came to Post Oak that I would be learning skills. So what are these skills? Is that all just Montessori hype? Well, I'm sure that you and past Grace will be relieved to hear that, yes, I did in fact learn skills that have gone on to serve me throughout my personal and professional life. However, sadly, what I cannot answer is what those skills are or when they will manifest for you all. While I could make a general statement that you all are probably excellent presenters, not afraid to seek clarification, can communicate effectively in a foreign language, and probably interview really well, those things really only scratch at the surface of how you've grown and taken in since starting at Post Oak. What those qualities and skills are based on your own unique experiences and insights from your time here, and when they will manifest for you will depend on your life trajectory from here. While I am still in my own process of recognizing all the tools and insights that I developed from my time here, I can tell you what I have found to be the most standout. To do that, though, I'm going to have to give you a bit of a crash course in child psychology. I'm going to assume that everyone here has at least heard of Sigmund Freud. Okay, cool, that's great, because we're not going to talk about him. We're actually going to talk about a mentee of his daughter, Anna Freud, Erik Erikson. Erikson was a Jewish developmental psychologist who was born in Germany in 1871. Unlike most famous figures in psychology and psychiatry back then, Erikson didn't go to medical school. In fact, he actually dropped out of college specifically, to tour the German and Italian countryside to find himself. It wasn't until he formed a friendship with Anna Freud that he got any training in psychoanalysis, which is the primary method of mental health treatment at the time, specifically focusing on children. He received his diploma in 1933. However, due to the rise of Hitler and the Nazi Party to power, he fled to Boston, where he was the first child psychoanalyst at Mass General. Erikson was enraptured by the idea that a child's environment shapes not only who they are, but how they act and think in the world. Much of his work centered on identity development. Have you ever heard the term identity crisis before? That was Erikson. So the reason why I just gave you this man's whole biography is that Erikson has a really special honor in developmental psychology of creating what is known as a stage theory of development. In his model, he posits that there are different challenges, different salient questions for different stages of life. So for babies, the stage is called trust versus mistrust. So will mom and dad feed me when I cry? Will they respond to my laughs, my vocalizations? And these questions and their answers form a foundation for approaching life and for feeling secure in answering the questions of the next stage. Arguably, one of the most important of these stages is called identity development versus role confusion, which takes place during adolescence. It deals with the question of who am I? Where am I going? What role do I play? To Erikson, role confusion meant not being able to understand oneself as a member of community, of society, and is one of the hardest and most critical of the conflicts. But Erikson didn't believe that you had to decide on being one way your entire life as a teenager, but rather that a person felt that they had the ability to adjust to new environments and circumstances. To achieve this ability, a teen must be supported in constructively exploring their interests and passions and to try on different roles previously reserved for grown-ups. Does that sound familiar to you guys? It did to me too. When I learned about this theory, a lot started to click for me. Prior to Post Oak, I'm not sure I would have identified a major element of myself as a leader, a self-starter, or an advocate. When I started high school here, I wasn't really sure what it would all look like or feel like, or really what I would even be doing. But I do remember a really critical moment at my time at Post Oak. I remember it was freshman year, and I saw that all of my friends around high schools in Houston were having social events and parties, and I thought to myself, it would be really cool if we had like a Halloween party or something here. I think that would be really cool. And I must have made like an offhanded comment to Dr. Ott, and then her response immediately was, why not? Why don't you put together a proposal? And at the time, I looked at her and I was like, you want me to do that? Do you want me to do that? But she helped me through the process. And then we had a Halloween party, and then we got the ball rolling, and we had more parties, and we had the party planning committee. Then the school got bigger, and then we thought, hey, it'd be really good for us to have a student government. Then we created the community council. And then throughout those 4 years and ever-increasing snowballs of community meetings and committees, J and A terms, I realized that I really loved helping to make our community a better place. And it was a part of myself that I had never really truly experienced before. And I think without that respect and cultivation, I don't think that I would have thought about how leadership or advocacy was a central part of myself. I probably wouldn't have thought to apply to a place like Barnard, an all-women's college focusing on educating the next generation of women leaders. Never thought that I could represent the interests and concerns of my peers and colleagues both on campus and nationally, and likely would doubt my ability as an individual or with others to make a difference in the world in general. The question, why not, has become a staple of mine whenever I'm stuck, and it's helped guide me more times than I have the time to exposit on. To quote John Long, at Post Oak, the work, the education is more than just learning how to read and write. You have had the incredible opportunity to have perhaps the most supportive and constructive environment for your growth yet. You have been given a space where your endeavors are respected and cultivated, and I ask that you not only pay that forward, but that you give that back. Both can take many forms, but what I recommend for giving back is that when you've learned that you have gained something from here, tell the person responsible. Tell your former faculty, tell your parents, tell your community. They want to know that they have been able to give you something and celebrate your accomplishments. In terms of paying that forward, again, that's up to you. But I would like to turn your attention beyond this stage and beyond this celebration. Right now, here in this country, in this state, there are attacks on all fronts on human rights. There is a climate crisis that's ever worsening, wars brewing, and I could keep going. While I think the world needs post-oakers from all graduating classes, I think that you all, the post-oak generation that survived a literal trial by fire, are critical. Your passion and creativity are what is needed to make our world a better place. In the face of these challenges, I know that it is easy to feel powerless and hopeless. Believe me, I've been there. So I'll give you the thing that has guided me. Whenever you have doubt, whenever things feel impossible, just ask yourself, why not? I know that this is a lot for someone that you don't know all that well to place upon you, but I want you to know that in whatever your endeavors, your community is here. Congratulations again, graduates, and welcome to the club. We are so excited to have you and see all that you do.
talking about? Who's never left home, who's never struck out to find a dream and a life of their own. A place in the clouds, a foundation of stone. Many precede and many will follow. A young girl's dreams no longer hollow. It takes the shape of a place out west. But what it holds for her, she hasn't yet guessed. She needs wide open spaces, room to make a big mistake. She needs new faces. She knows the highest stakes. She traveled this road as a child, wide-eyed and grinning, she never tired. But now she won't be coming back with the rest. If these are life lessons, she'll take this test. She needs wide open spaces, room to make a big mistake. She needs new faces. She knows the highest stakes. She knows the highest stakes. As the folks drive away, her dad yells, check the oil. Mom stares out the window and says, I'm leaving my girl. She said it didn't seem like that long ago, when she stood there and let her own folks know she needed wide open spaces, room to make a big mistake. She needs new faces. She knows the highest stakes. 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 She knows the highest stakes.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Hey, Miss Harrison, who's your favorite senior?
Probably the same one everyone else's is.
Miss Novak, who's your favorite senior?
Of course, my...
Hey, Dr. Salem,
Oh, hey.
who's your favorite senior?
Well, obviously, it's the best student here.
Well, up until I started grading this, I would have said, but now for sure it's...
Definitely.
Liar.
Let me think about that. Oh, yeah, that's definitely...
Who's your favorite senior?
Oh, that's easy.
Mainly for outside of class.
Let me see. Oh, that's easy. Of course you know it's...
Oh, that's a tough one, but I would have to say...
Wait, Miss Trimble! Who's your favorite senior? Miss Parnell, who's your favorite senior?
Oh, wait. Is it that time of the year? Are the seniors leaving? Oh, gosh. Well, in that case, the ones that I just think about every single day and are just gonna break my heart, I'm crying already. My favorite senior is most definitely... We're just kidding! You're all our favorites! We love our seniors!
All right. Every post-oak graduate contributes their unique skills, talents, passions, and lived experiences to the high school community. And each year, the faculty recognizes graduates for these contributions by presenting them with awards. The class of 2023 were presented with the following awards. For Alex Gross, the Intellectual Curiosity Award. For Andres Yangle, the Open Heart Award for Kindness. For Andy Walsh, the Patriotism Award. For Ariana Luke, the Award for Creative Expression in the Visual Arts. For Ariella Kluk, the Community Spirit Award. For Cece Gustafson, the Deep Waters Award for Reflective Thought. For Emilio San Vicente, the Musical Spirit Award. For Gia Sood, the Songbird Outstanding Vocalist Award. For Isaac Townsend, the Maria Montessori Award for Independence.
For Isa Caruso, the Political Activism Award. For Isabel Saxon, the Dag Hammarskjöld Ambassador Award. For Jackson Taylor, the Open Hand Award for Diplomacy. For Jeremy Chen, the Lee Smith Award for Film Editing. For Juliette Deschanel Pathman, the Simone de Beauvoir Award for Advocacy. For Kalali Ladder, the Dorothy Vaughan Award for Women in STEM. For Leon Hong, the Perseverance and Growth Award. Micah Weinstock, the Global Citizen Award. For Oliver Erdman, the Garage Startup Award for Excellence in Computer Science. For Sara Avalos Paez, the Distinguished Leadership Award. For Sophia Savaris, the Environmentalist Award. And for V. Atkinson, the Madame Curie Award for Scientific Achievement.
Each year, the senior class votes on which senior best exemplifies the characteristics of an ideal post-oak graduate. The student they choose is given the privilege of representing the senior class as the graduate speaker at commencement. This year, that student is Anderson Walsh. We're glad Andy is with us this evening. He was the last to arrive for rehearsal because he was busy fighting a fire. We appreciate you being here, Andy.
Thank you and good evening. I want to begin with a question. What are the ideal characteristics of a postdoc graduate? How would you describe the student who walks across this stage, is handed this diploma, and goes off into the world as a postdoc alum? Well, this was the prompt given to the students of the class of 2023 when we were gathered together and asked to select a commencement speaker. I knew speaking was something I would be interested in doing, and I felt fairly confident in my ability to stand behind a podium and speak for a few minutes about why I thought Post Oak was a unique and impactful school. But it was my understanding that Dr. Quillen and Mr. Dorsey would just send out a Google form, the students would vote, I would prepare a few words, and that would be it. But I was wrong. Sitting in that room while my fellow classmates chose adjectives they would use to describe a postdoc graduate, I was stumped. I had never once considered what it may mean to graduate from this school. While writing this speech, I thought to myself, should I know? Should I know how to describe a postdoc graduate? Heck, I've been a student here for 17 years. I mean, it's a toss-up between me and Ariella on who's been here the longest. You'd think after 2 decades we would agree on that, but apparently not. But if I don't know by now, maybe I never will. And I don't tell many this story, but I was uncertain in the past. In fact, I remember crying to my mom in the car as a freshman when I thought I had made a mistake. The grass was greener somewhere else. I didn't think Post Oak was the right school for me. Can you believe that? Can you believe that the commencement speaker representing the senior class and supposedly all the attributes of an ideal graduate doubted even being here? But Post Oak taught me that it's okay to have doubt In fact, one of the adjectives we came up with was questioning. A Post Oak graduate is questioning. Because it's clear that at Post Oak, you're encouraged to think freely, to dig deep down and find who you really are at your core. And that's a gift that's only possible because of an amazing faculty and staff. You can look at any group of people around the world, and seldom will you find a group that is more passionate and more dedicated than the Post Oak faculty. And I can say with confidence that every single faculty member I've connected with has changed my life. Reading the Senior Spotlight posts on Instagram has proven this to be true for my classmates as well. I cannot agree more with Juliet than when she said that Dr. Kobos changed her life by not only being there for her as her advisor, but just as a friend. Or when Oliver mentioned how his M-term experience with Mr. Berardino inspired him on an entire new career path. And I knew that both my free time and my financial health would never be the same after Mr. Audie introduced me to golf my sophomore year. Because parents, the truth is that at this school, the board, the leadership, the development team, they all work tirelessly to create an environment where the faculty truly have an impact on your kids. Take my experience, for example. I cannot imagine another school that would not only allow me, but encourage me to disappear to Wyoming for a month in the middle of my senior year just to get my wilderness emergency medical technician certification. I mean, that was amazing. I can't believe I had the opportunity to do that. But parents, don't forget to give yourself credit as well, because maybe you too felt doubt. Maybe you too felt doubt about sending your child to a Montessori school with only 21 students in a graduating class. Because it's no secret that Post Oak is different. In fact, we strive to challenge the norm. But on behalf of my fellow graduates and all the students at the school and the Post Oak faculty, I want to take a chance to thank you, parents, for your continuous effort and support and trust throughout our educational journey. Thank you. You see, Post Oak is a notable school as it asks more from its students. Students aren't just expected to be, well, students, show up to class, make decent grades. They're expected to be members of a community. And this is a lesson that is taught from the young children's community at the Bissonnette campus all the way to your senior year of high school. And I could not be more grateful. Because the fact is that this amazing nation needs individuals who are community-minded. Individuals who can put themselves aside to work towards a greater good for all of us. And Post Oak creates a unique environment where students befriend each other, where the world may see reason for difference and division. From a young age, students experience different cultures. They celebrate each other. They learn about the ways in which we are all different, but also how we're the same. All in an effort to create more empathetic and caring members of society. And we don't do that by sacrificing our own beliefs and values. We engage and we learn about the beliefs and values of others. And this is a virtue that Post Oak students may not even realize that they have until they graduate. And maybe that's what a Post Oak graduate really is. Because students at this school can change the world. I look at this class, and not one of us is the same. We have different interests and backgrounds and beliefs. But that doesn't matter, because at Post Oak, everyone has a role. And no one gets to tell you what that role is. And when students in a small community all get together with different experiences and different roles, you get a community with a wide variety of perspectives that every student is able to benefit from each other. And every student ends up more well-rounded and knowledgeable because of that. I can look at every student and say with confidence that every single one of you is more capable than you're aware of. And that Post Oak has prepared you to be the change that you want to see wherever you may go. Yes, Post Oak is a different school, and yes, Post Oak students are different. But for myself, my fellow graduates, all Post Oak students, family, and faculty, this place, this community, this school will always be home. Thank you very much. Go Bearcats. Boomer Sooner.
Evangeline Grace Atkinson. Sara Daniela Eli Avalos Paez. Isabella Maria Caruso Lomónica. Jeremy Chen. Juliette Nej Duchanel Pathman. Oliver Maxwell Erdman. Alexander James Gross. Cecily Neil Gustafson. Leon Duc Lon Hong. Ariella Kluk. Kilali Teresa Ladder. Ariana Jane Luke. Emilio San Vicente Sinzu. Sophia Nicole Savarese. Miriam Isabel Failer Saxon. Gia Sood. Jackson Brian Taylor. Isaac Robert Townsend. Francis Anderson Walsh. Micah Jaron Weinstock. Andres Alejandro Yangele Ter.
Please stay seated. Please stay seated as the graduates recess. I now present to you the Post Oak graduating class of 2023.
shadows disappeared, the animals inside came out to play. Went face to face with all our fears, learned our lessons through the tears, made memories we knew would never fade. One day my father, he told me, son, don't let it slip away. He took me in his arms, I heard him say, when you get older, you wild out, we'll live for younger days. Think of me if ever you're afraid. He said one day you'll leave this world behind, so live a life you will remember. My father told me when I was just a child, these are the nights that never die. My father told me